So welcome back to another video. This is a quick review of my ultralight 3-season backpacking kit. Oh, what a truly glorious day it is today, bloody hell. Yeah, so today I'm going to be reviewing my ultralight 3-season backpacking kit. So it weighs just under 4.5 kilograms, something like that. That's a base weight, so it doesn't include food or water. The setup that I'm wearing at the moment includes 2 chairs, a solar panel and a couple of days worth of food. So this is typically what it would look like if I was going out for a multi-day wild camp. As you can see, it's quite compact and small. It barely looks like I'm going for a camp, looks more like I'm going for a hike. I like being inconspicuous as much as I can when it comes to wild camping. So this is probably the most you'll ever see me have on the outside of my backpack, which is the Helinox Chair Zero, and then me trekking poles there. To be honest, I'd normally be using me trekking poles, but because I'm recording the video, it's always a little bit awkward. So I'm just going to keep them stowed for now. Intimidate me a little bit. You like that, matey? No? Nah. It's always a very strange feeling walking kind of amongst wild horses. I mean, they are tame, but you just never know whether they're just going to get a kick in the face with a hoof. So I just thought I'd show you. In the little kind of snack pocket that I've got here, this is the Naturehike Stool, which is 15 quid and it weighs about 200 grams, but it seems pretty good on the surface. So it's very small, there's no back to it obviously, but I'm thinking that it should be alright for like kind of camping and stuff, you know. Yeah, I mean it's not going to be as comfortable as the Helinox Chair Zero, but it feels like it'll do its job for like kind of cooking and stuff. I do like the fact that it just fits there and you can access it while you've still got your backpack on. I do firmly believe that when you have to take your backpack off to get things out, you always leave it to the last minute or just don't bother at all. Right then, so this is a review of my 3-season ultralight backpacking kit. So as I said before, this particular setup is just under 4.5 kilograms. That doesn't include this little solar panel or the chair that I'm sat on. And of course, because it's a base weight, it doesn't include the food or water, but it does include a water filter and a water bottle. So I've never actually used this solar panel and it only weighs just over 100 grams. So I just figured that having it on the back there, even if it only trickle charges my kind of power banks and things like that, and it might get me like 10% over the whole day, it's still better than nothing and it weighs piss all. Plus, I think it actually looks quite good on the back of the backpack there. So always a fan of things looking good on backpacks. As I said on the way up, it's a trekking pole tent, so I use these 2 carbon fibre trekking poles. These are the Black Diamond distance trekking poles. I do use these all of the time. You didn't see me using them on the way up on the video because I was using the video camera, so it's a little bit of a pain. But whenever I'm out hiking, I'll always be using these sticks. I'll just pop them there. So I'll just take everything out of the backpack and go through it all one by one, just so that you can see what's inside there. And then I'll set up the tent and the sleep system on the inside, and then go through the cook system and the toilet bag, that kind of thing, while I'm inside the tent. Okay, so let's get cracking. So on the outside are my tent pegs. I always keep these on the outside because there's nothing worse than finding a spot that you think is going to be ideal, and then once you've got yourself unpacked, you start having a stab and you realise that you're not getting your pegs in. So I always keep these accessible. Whenever I find somewhere, I just have a quick stab just to make sure that I can get them in. Already checked here and I should be able to get them in. It's not ideal, probably only going to be able to get them in maybe 3 or 4 inches, but just for the sake of being able to show you today, that'll be fine. These are Lakota Rutra, I think it is. They are carbon fibre. They are carbon fibre stakes. I use 9 inches and I use 6 inches. For the most part, I'll use 9 inches, and then for non-load bearing sections, I'll just use the 6 inches. I'll put the weight for these below, and as I go through everything in there, I'll put the specs for that below as well, just so that you can see it. Okay. So in this side pocket here, I've got Petzl ICO head torch. You would have seen this on a couple of the other videos, but it's a fell running head torch, and it's really quite light. It's very bulky compared to most ultralight ones, but I just love the way that the battery's on the back and the frame is quite an interesting design. It really fits on your head quite well. So yeah, I like this. you can see, it folds away quite interestingly. It takes up a lot more room than most head torches, but it weighs, it doesn't weigh much at all anyway. And in there I also have my car keys just to keep them safe. On the other side here I have my Black Diamond wind jacket. I believe that this is the lightest wind jacket on the planet. I can believe that because it is really stupidly thin. To be honest with you, this is handy for getting you out the wind, but it is completely non-breathable, so you sweat like a bastard in it, to be honest. Okay, I'm going to put that back in here because it will definitely blow away. I do have a zip on the back here. I usually keep my emergency kit in there, but at the moment I've just got a USB cable for the solar panel. And I think what the idea would be is if I was going to charge it, I would have the cable running round from there and I'd have my power bank in the back. That's the reason why I have swapped that out to the emergency pack. Okay, so first up is the tent. This is the Gossamer Gear, the 2, and this is a sil nylon. It's not our DCF tent. It weighs about 800 grams, but I've got like kind of extras, so all in it weighs about 950 grams. That doesn't include the trekking poles, but I don't include those in my base weight as they're going to be in my hands 90% of the time when I'm out anyway, so it's not part of it. This does kind of crunch down really quite small. It's one of the benefits of sil nylon over DCF is that, as you can see, it scrunches down. This is a 2-man tent and it's a massive 2-man tent, so the fact that it can pack down that small is really quite impressive. I have got my food supplies. So this is the Naturehike Gear, the Weekender, and inside it I have, at the moment, I have got 2 dehydrated meals. This can fit 5 quite comfortably, so it's ideal for dehydrated meals, but also you can kind of put fresh ingredients in there if you want. So I tend not to eat too much when I'm hiking, so I actually would be able to get away with just eating one of these a day. I tend to do most of my hiking fasted, so I would probably eat one of these at night about 6-7 o'clock, and then I wouldn't eat anything then until the next day, 6 or 7 o'clock. I wouldn't do that over a prolonged number of days, but I would easily be able to do it over 2 or 3 days, so that's fine. This is my insulated jacket. This is the Haglof's limb insulated jacket. It's actually really good, this. It packs down quite small and it's quite warm, to be honest. So I've been caught out a few times over the years where, you know, you've wild camped on a day like this where it's 26 and then in the morning it's absolutely plummeted. It's been like kind of close to 0 and I've not had you know, the right gear, which is, you know, it's a rookie mistake, but it happens. So I make a point now of always having this, even though it's my summer kit. It's, you know, it's just always worth having. So this is my cook system. This is the Soto wind burner, I think it is, and then it's the gas canister and the Tokes 750. This is my emergency kit. It's got a power bank in there. It's got a head torch, a spare head torch. It's got a first aid kit, a lighter, all of the bits and bobs that you might need. This is my toiletries bag. So this has got a bottle for urination. It has got a water filter, it's got a bottle for filling water, and it's got a towel. It's also got a deuce of spades, which is for digging a poo hole, and it's got a few other little bits and bobs in there, and I'll show you them later. So these are 2 carbon fibre poles that I had made up. I'll show you these later on, but these are to add to the tent and it gives it quite a lot of extra room on the inside. This is the bottom half of my sleep system. So this is my pillow, my mat and the pump. For 3 season, I don't wear base layers when I go to sleep. I tend to just wear my underwear. I feel much more comfortable sleeping that way, and I'm quite a hot sleeper anyway, so it really complements the kind of sleeping style of a quilt. You can just kick your leg out and cool yourself down. I'll just open this a little second there. Yeah, I've also got a large towel as well, just in case there's any condensation. And also in there is a little lantern by Naturehike Gear. And then last is my quilt. This is the EE Revelation quilt. This is good to -1 and it's at 850. It's not the lightest version I could have got. I could have got a 950, but to be honest, it packs down so small and it weighs so little that I didn't really see the point in spending like the extra 100 quid or whatever on getting it at 950. The backpack itself is an Atom Packs made in England, in Keswick. This is the 35 litre and this is based on the Atom model. So there is no frame in there. Unlike the Atom model though, this has actually got a hip belt on it. Because I got this custom made, I added a hip belt. The whole weight as well also includes these detachable pockets that I've shown you before. These aren't actually made by Atom Packs, these are made by Naturehike Gear. And the reason why I use these is because these are slightly bigger than Atom Packs version. And they're jet black rather than a kind of checkered pattern. So there you go. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pop me bag on the side here and then I'm going to set up me tent. I'm going to do a full setup of this. It probably takes about 5 minutes, so feel free to skip it if you're not interested, but it's worth having a look if you've never seen a trekking pole tent getting set up. They all set up roughly the same. I always like to keep my pegs handy when I'm setting up my tent because you're going to need them obviously. Right, let's have a look. Okay, so I think this should be good here. So when you're setting up trekking pole tents, you always go corner to corner and that way you get the tension right. If you try and do it kind of each side, you can really end up with a kind of trapezoid shape, which doesn't work and then you have to redo it. So I can now kind of pull opposite there, give it a nice amount of tension. There we go. I'm hoping that the camera's catching all of this. If not, I'll be quite annoyed. Right, so what I tend to do is I just extend the pole a little tiny bit, and then once it's inside, I just extend it a bit more. So there we go. I'm going to do the same on the other side, and then we're pretty much set up. Okay, so just now extend this pole to its fullest. And then do the same on the other side. Give each corner a little tighten. So that's the tent more or less set up now. But what I am going to do is I'm going to use the carbon fibre little poles just to create more room on the inside. So each of these poles are just the right height to allow this to pull out and give you more room on the inside. So these are optional, but I just think for the amount of weight that they are, you may as well just use them. There you go. I always bring a few extra stakes as well, because carbon fibre, as lovely as it is, being light, does have a habit of snapping. They don't bend, they just snap straight away. I'll give you a little bit of a walk around the tent now. Quite an unusual shaped one once you've pulled it out with those poles. So as you can see, one of the interesting things with trekking pole tents is there's always a lot of room at the bottom, but if you're on uneven ground, this gets really exaggerated. So you'd probably expect that this would normally be around about this big, but it's obviously quite a lot. If I was to go around the back, you can see that it's significantly less than that. Something to bear in mind when you're setting up trekking pole tents. It can be a little bit of a faff, but ultimately these are designed for free season. So the whole point is to get a lot of airflow underneath. So if it's really cold, really windy, these aren't the best tents to be using anyway. So I'll just bring you inside the tent now so you can have a little look. As you can see, there's tons of room in here. You can easily get 225 wide mats in here, and because there's tons of mesh everywhere, condensation's not an issue at all. And if we just have a look here now, this is where the guy line pulls it out, so it gives you an absolute ton of room on the inside. So I'm sat in the middle now, and if I extend my arms as wide as I can, I still can't touch the top. Obviously I can touch the top if I do this, but width-wise, it is absolutely massive. Okay, so first up, we've got the bottom half of the sleep system. This is one of Naturehike Gear's packing cells. I'll put the size of it below. A few people have asked me. These are really useful because they're the exact right size for Atom Packs backpacks. So this way round, you can fit 2 high in the 35 litres, and if you do them this way round, then you can fit 3 high in the 60 litres or above. Obviously they're the 2 that I've got, so I know that they work, but I'm guessing it works for the other sizes as well. So as I said before, I always have a big towel just to get down any condensation, to wipe things down should I need to. The flex tail pump, this weighs hardly anything, actually weighs less than your kind of pump sacks and things like that, so I just don't see why you wouldn't want to bring one of these. They are absolutely fantastic. Then I've got my Enlightened Equipment pillow. This is actually quite heavy compared to most pillows. It's over 100 grams, but excuse me, but it does its job really well, so I don't mind the extra weight. I have my Naturehike Gear lantern. This is really light, I think it weighs 20 grams, something like that, and it does a pretty decent job of lighting up my tent, so I do like that. So I have actually messed up as well, and I brought the wrong mat out. So this is my winter mat. Now actually all of the weights I've been talking about so far, I've been talking about this, and this weighs a few hundred grams more than the summer one. So I shall put the actual weight of my kit below here, because it's going to be less than 4.5 kilograms now. It's going to be more like 4.3. So that's a bonus, but a bit of a pisser. So all you're going to have to do is you're going to have to use your imagination and pretend that this is orange. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to inflate this in the tent. Okay, so while I'm waiting for that to inflate, I'll just quickly show you my lantern. So this is by Naturehike Gear, and it weighs about 25 grams. Again, I'll put it below. It's just a simple little DCF bag with a little torch on the inside, connected by this little bit of thread. So what you do is you just light it up and then just trap the, I've just turned it on there. So you just trap the torch in there and then give it a blow, and it illuminates this little three-dimensional bag. So it's really simple, and actually it's quite effective. It lights the tent up quite well. Okay, so we're almost done here. So what usually happens with these is it inflates it to a point, but not absolutely fully. So you always need a couple of little puffs at the end. Okay, and then these Enlightened Equipment quilts, these have just got like a little bit of an elastic kind of toggle going around it. So all you do is you just wrap it around your mat. And then as you can see, it stays in place quite well. So one of the biggest problems that I always used to find, and it really does affect your sleep, is when your pillow slips off the mat. It can absolutely wind you up and keep you awake. And this just really kind of circumvents that. Again, like with most things, just really simple but effective. And then I'll just show you now. This is my Enlightened Equipment quilt. So this is a wide short, because I'm a titch. I'll just give it a bit of a puff up. So at the moment I've got the foot box set up, so there's a zip that runs along there, and this just turns it into a traditional kind of foot box quilt. But what you can do when it's really hot is you can undo this zip, and then it just becomes a full-on rectangular quilt, which is absolutely ideal for summer, so you can just sleep in it as if you'd sleep in your bed at home. So really good. When it's a little bit colder, the foot box is ideal, but I still use the quilt itself open. So let me just unclip this. So as you can see, quite wide. So I'll just put this in place now. I'll just show you before I attach it. So the quilts have a little clip system. So at 2 points on the quilt, there's a little clip. So what I tend to do is on the bottom one, I attach this hoop which goes around the mat and keeps it in place, and then the top one, if I ever get really cold, I just clip it to itself and it creates a kind of sleeping bag thing. So I'll show you that in a second once we've got it inside. But generally speaking, I'll only ever attach this one to the mat, and then I will just leave this open so that I have a more kind of mobile and comfortable night's sleep. This is the sleep system now, all done. And as you can see, if I just turn it around, so as you can see, you can really have this quite wide to give yourself a nice sleep. And it's attached in the center there by the clip. You just get on your mat and then you can just put your feet in the toe box. So it's pretty much like a sleeping bag at that point, but at the top, rather than being unenclosed, it's just quite wide, so you can toss and turn and just snuggle yourself in as if you were in sleep. It's actually boiling in here because of that sun, so I'm sweating quite a bit. But as you can see, you know, you can just sleep as you were inside a house, really, really comfortable. And if you really want to, you can just kind of have your feet out and things like that. So yeah, really comfortable. Absolutely, absolutely swear by quilts. If you ever needed to, there are various options. So if it gets too cold, because it is 3 season, not just summer, there's a little clip here, so you can snap them together and then put yourself inside. And then there's a little cinch here. So let me just get the cinch here. You can then just bring this in now, and you pretty much got yourself a sleeping bag. I mean, I am utterly, utterly boiling now, so I'm gonna have to escape, otherwise I'm gonna die. Oh, Christ. Please help. Oh gosh. Whew. Well, as you can see as well, you know, you can just roll this down if you're really overheating. So it is very, very, very flexible. Absolutely smashes all over a sleeping bag in terms of flexibility. And to be fair, they are just as warm as a sleeping bag, so you're not really missing out on anything. So there you go. Now, it did get too hot for me to show you what would happen if I was to clip these two together. So I'll show you it while I'm not inside it, because I, honest to God, that was so hot, it was unreal. So if you were to clip these together, what happens now is, as you can see, it's more like a sleeping bag. So having those together and these together would essentially give you the same as a sleeping bag. The only difference would be is that there would be no hood. And to be honest, all you need to do is bring a hat. So that's absolutely fine. So my cook system uses the Toke's 750ml titanium pot and the Soto Windmaster. I'll just open it now so you can see. This is the Windmaster. And then the gas canister. I always wrap everything in a little towel to stop it from rattling, and also allows me to wipe it down. I tend to only boil water in here. I don't cook anything, so I don't have to worry too much about washing it. And a lighter, of course. So I bring a lighter, even though this actually does have a piezo igniter, because you never know when these are going to fail, so always worth having. So these stoves are quite interesting because they come in 2 parts. So you've got this spring-loaded pot support section, and then you've got the stove itself. So you would kind of open the support and then put the stove itself inside, and then when you release, it latches around, and then you can undo the support. And as you can see, there's 4, so it's really handy for, get off there you. So as you can see, you know, it really does support quite sturdily the pot, and you can use like pans and things like that. So I really do like this stove. There's a pretty impressive flame on this. You probably won't be able to see it in the light, but it really is quite impressive. Yeah, you can't, but I mean, this is, oh God, that is right up here. Choice. I don't know why I was expecting you to be able to see it in there. Can you see it in here? No, can you fuck? And it also kind of hugs around it, so when you're stowing it, it kind of all packs away nice and neat. Somebody on a quad bike there. So as I said before, I always use that towel, and once that towel's in place, I mean, there's almost no noise whatsoever. So nothing worse than having like stuff jangling in your backpack. At least for me. I'm sure there are much more terrible things in life than having a jangling backpack. But no, if you wanted to torture me, all you'd need to do is just fill me backpack full of bells, and that's it, I'd lose it. Okay, so that's that. Next up is my wash pouch. So this has all the essentials that you'd need for camping. So it has a little water bottle and a water filter. This is the Katadyn B3, and then just a 1 litre water bottle. I do have a 3 litre, so if I'm doing multi-days and I know that the water sources are going to be few and far between, I'll just bring me 3 litre and I can keep this kind of topped up with water. But generally speaking, I'll only really ever need to have 1 litre unfiltered, and then I'll fill up another litre that I carry. So 2 litres of water I'll be able to carry at any one time with this setup. I always have a little cloth, because when you filter water, what ends up happening is you end up with contaminated water on the outside. So it's always advisable to wipe the outside down before you start drinking or before you start pouring. Even though it's a very slim chance of getting anything bad from it, it kind of defeats the point if you're going to have contaminated water dripping into your clean water that you're filtering. This is my bottle for going to the toilet in. Stops me from having to leave the tent, which is really quite useful. I've got the deuce of spades, which just allows you to dig a hole for a number 2. And then inside here I have little kind of tablets. So what these do is you put a little drop of water on them and they turn into a wet wipe. So handy for wiping your bum or for just washing up. Now, these are really good, to be honest, and they actually do kind of unfold into quite a large wet wipe. So I think they weigh about 1 gram each as well. So I always keep about 10 at any one time. So that's the wash kit. And this is my dehydrated food. At the moment I have just 2 in here, which would last me 2 days or kind of a long overnight hike camp. A little spoon that allows me to eat out of the pot, and then just dehydrated meals. I dehydrate them myself. They weigh about 200 grams. But I usually make spaghetti bolognese, lamb curry, chili con carne, that kind of thing. So this is the Weekender by Naturehike Gear, and it's exactly the right size for your dehydrated meals. So you just put them in alternate, because obviously they're a little bit fatter at one end than the other. And this is just 2, but you can fit 5 in there plus your spoon. So absolutely perfect. He also does a Weekender Plus, which is quite a lot higher as well, so I don't know how many you can fit in that. I'll probably end up buying that, to be honest, one day, but right now this is all I need. If I ever do kind of a few weeks here and there, then I'll just get the Weekender Plus or just another Weekender and have 2. So nice and simple. I also use this same pouch for fresh ingredients if I'm going to be cooking rather than just doing dehydrated meals. So last but not least is my emergency pouch. This comes with me every single time I go hiking or camping, and it always has the same things inside it. So I'll just go through them now. So first up is the Petzl Bindi. This is my emergency head torch. It doesn't weigh much at all, and it packs up quite small. I mean, everybody must have had a situation where they've left the head torch on accidentally, and when you come to use it, it's gone. So I just always have this as an emergency. You also never know whether you're going to come across anybody who hasn't got a head torch and needs one. Always worth having these things. I then have a Nightcore carbon fibre power bank that says 10,000 milliamps, and a little ultralight cable just for charging things. I also have a Petzl knife. Most of the time I use this for cutting food when I'm cooking, but I have had to use it for repairs and things like that. It's always really handy to have. Obviously in the UK you don't really need to fight bears and things, so no worries. And then I also have an emergency first aid kit. This has the usual things like plasters, blister plasters, tick removers and things like that. And then a spare lighter. I've had to use this several times, so always worth having it with you. And then inside here, just a couple of extra little bits and bobs. A repair patch for your mat and a little bit of DCF tape in case you need to repair your tent. As I said before, I also have an insulated jacket and a windbreaker jacket. I showed you them before, there's no real point in me showing you them again. They're just jackets at the end of the day. They're both kind of the lightest versions of each that you can get, which I think makes you more likely to bring them with you all the time. So about 4.3 kilograms for the base kit, and then from there I can build up. So if I wanted to bring pots and pans and some fresh food and a chair, I can add those things on. Because it's such a low base weight, you know, you can always kind of luxury camp, as I call it. So obviously I'd be able to get this down lower to sub 4 kilograms if I wanted to, by just replacing this for a one-man tent and having a mummy-shaped sleeping mat. But to be honest with you, these are the things that I've learned over the years, that I'd rather just have the extra room and I'd rather have a more comfortable night. For the sake of 500 grams, 600 grams, something like that, it's just not worth kind of cutting out those luxuries. So for me, it's always going to be a two-man tent and it's always going to be rectangular wide mats. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you've got any questions, any comments or suggestions for another video, please drop a comment below and I'll definitely get back to you. I always get back to everybody, so I'll see you down there. Thank you.